There was no possibility of taking a walk that day. The cold winter wind had brought with it clouds so sombre and a rain so penetrating that further outdoor exercise was out of the question. I was glad of it. I never liked long walks, especially on chilly afternoons.
That's my darling. John, dear, just one to start with. And one for you, Georgiana.
Oh, thank you, Mamma.
And one for my darling Eliza.
Thank you, Mamma. Thank you.
Oh, hungry after your play. Bessie, why did you let them stay out so late? A minute more and they would have been caught in the rain.
Well, it was that Jane, Mum. I called and called, but she'd gone off on her own and I couldn't find her anywhere.
Of course. You may go, Bessie.
What does Bessie say I have done, Aunt Reed?
A child must not take up her elders. Until you can speak pleasantly, remain silent.
Where the dickens is she? Lizzie? Georgie? Jane is not here. Tell Mamma she has run out in the rain. Bad animal.
What do you want?
What do you want? What?
What do you want, cousin?
Cousin? Starveling cousin. Orphan cousin. Call me Master Reed. I want you to come here. That's for your impudence to Mamma and me. For your sneaking ways, getting behind curtains, you rat. What were you doing behind the curtain?
I was reading.
Show the book. You have no business to take our books. You are dependent. Mamma says you have no money. I'll teach you.
Wicked boy! You never stop bullying me! You're like a murderer! You're like a slave driver!
Mamma!
You're like the Roman Emperor Jane! No!
Disgraceful! Dear, dear!
If you had heard what she'd said to me.
Did anybody see such a picture of passion?
Abbott, Bessie, take her to the Red Room and lock her in there.
No!
Oh! Miss Jane, come on.
Let me go! He hit me, Bessie. He is always hitting me.
Boys will be boys, Miss Jane. Hold her arms, Miss Abbott. She's like a mad cat.
For shame, Miss Sarah. Still with you.
No, come here.
It is not ladylike to strike a young gentleman. Your benefactress's son, your young master.
Master? How is he my master? Am I a servant?
No, you are less than a servant, for you do nothing for your keep. Now, sit down here and think over your wickedness.
Now, if you don't sit still, we shall have to tie your hands. Lend me your garters, Miss Abbott, for she'd break mine directly.
Don't tie me up. I won't, sir. I promise.
Well, mind you don't. Oh, she never did so before.
No, but it was always in her. I've said so to Mrs. before, and Mrs. agreed with me. Oh, she's an underhand little thing.
You ought to be aware, miss, that you are under obligations to Mrs. Reed. If she were to turn you out, you'd have to go to the poorhouse.
Her dear dead husband only took you in because he was your mother's brother.
So just you think of, Miss Eyre.
You mustn't leave me in here. My uncle died in that bed. I try to do my duty, but I'm always punished. It's only because I'm different. I'm different from you all, and you won't forgive me.
Come, Bessie, we will leave her. I wouldn't have her art for anything.
But the ghost!
Say your prayers, child.
If you don't repent, it will come down chimney and fetch you away.
It is unjust! Unjust! Let me out! Let me out! Please!
child. That was Ruddock the gardener. I saw him crossing the lawn with a lantern.
I thought it was my uncle.
You screamed out on purpose. I know your naughty tricks.
What is all this? Abbott? Bessie, I believe I left orders that Jane Eyre should be locked in the Red Room till I came to her myself.
Miss Jane screamed so loud, ma'am.
Let her go. Child, release Bessie's hand. You cannot succeed in getting out by these means. I abhor artifice, particularly in children. It is my duty to show you that tricks will not answer. You will now stay here an hour longer, and it is only on condition of perfect submission and stillness that I shall liberate you then. Go, and never disobey me again.
Aunt Reed, please.
Miss Jane, take off your pinafore. Have you washed your hands and face?
Of course.
Well, hurry when you're told, you troublesome child. Go down directly. You wanted in drawing room.
This is the little girl respecting whom I applied to.
Her size is small. What is her age?
10 years.
So much. Your name, little girl?
Jane Eyre, sir.
Well, Jane Eyre. And are you a good child?
Perhaps the less said on that subject, the better, Mr. Brocklehurst.
I am sorry indeed to hear it. No sight so sad as that of a naughty child, especially a naughty girl. Do you know where the wicked go after death?
They go to hell.
And what is hell? Can you tell me that?
A pit full of fire.
And should you like to fall into that pit and be burning there forever?
No, sir.
What must you do to avoid it?
I must keep in good health and not die.
How can you keep in good health? Children younger than you die daily. I hope that sigh is from the heart, and that you repent of having been the occasion of discomfort to your excellent benefactress. Do you say your prayers night and morning?
Yes, sir.
Do you read your Bible?
Sometimes.
With pleasure? Are you fond of it?
Bits of it.
Bits of it. Shocking. I have a little boy, younger than you, who knows 6 psalms by heart, and much else. When you ask him whether he would rather have a gingerbread nut or learn a psalm, he says, "Oh, a psalm to learn. Angels sing psalms, and I wish to be a little angel here below." He then gets 2 nuts as reward for his piety.
But psalms are not interesting.
That proves you have a wicked heart. And you must pray to God to change it.
You may sit down, Jane. Mr. Brocklehurst, I believe I intimated to you in my letter that this girl's disposition and character is not quite what I could wish, should you admit her into Lowood School. Be silent, child. Should you consent to do so, Mr. Brocklehurst, I would be glad if the superintendent and teachers were requested to keep a strict eye upon her. And above all, to guard against her worst fault, a tendency to deceit. I mention this in your hearing, Jane, that you may not attempt to impose on Mr. Brocklehurst.
Deceit is indeed a sad fault in a child. It is akin to falsehood, and all liars will have their portion in the lake burning with fire and brimstone.
Amen.
She shall, however, be watched, Mrs. Reed. I will speak to my headmistress, Miss Temple, and to the teachers.
I should wish her brought up in a manner suiting her prospects, to be made useful and humble. With your permission, she will spend all her vacations at Lowood.
You will not be burdened with her again, Mrs. Reed. As to your wishes, I assure you that the pupils at Lowood are taught humility as a Christian grace, and that worldly pride must be mortified.
That is a state of things I quite approve.
Plain food, simple attire, hardy accommodation, and constant activity. Such is the order of the day at Lowood.
Quite right, sir. I may depend upon your receiving this child, then, as a pupil.
Madam, you may. And I trust she will show herself grateful for the privilege.
I will send her to, then, as soon as possible.
Of course. I shall write and tell Miss Temple to expect a new girl. And I must bid you good morning. May I? I shall return to Brocklehurst Hall in a week or so. I'm staying with my good friend the Archdeacon, and he will not permit me to leave him sooner. See that my carriage is ready. Goodbye, Mrs. Reed.
Goodbye, Mr. Brocklehurst. Remember me to Mrs. and Miss Brocklehurst, and Augusta and Theodore, and Master Broughton Brocklehurst.
I will indeed. Here is a book entitled The Child's Guide. Read it with prayer, especially the account of the torments inflicted in hell upon deceitful children. You may leave her in our hands. There will be no softness.
You will return to your room.
I am not deceitful. If I were, I should say I loved you. But I declare I do not love you. I dislike you the worst of anyone in the world except John Reed. And this book about the liar, you may give it to your girl, Georgiana. She's the one who tells lies, and not I.
What more have you to say?
I'm glad you are no relation of mine. I will never call you aunt again as long as I live. I will never come to see you when I'm grown up. And if anyone asks me how I liked you and how you treated me, I'll say the very thought of you makes me sick and that you treat me with miserable cruelty.
How dare you affirm that, Jane Eyre?
How dare I, Mrs. Reed? Because it is the truth. You think I have no feelings and can do without one bit of love or kindness, but I cannot live so. You have no pity. People think you are a good woman, but you are bad and hard-hearted. You are deceitful.
Jane, you are under a mistake. Well, what is the matter with you? Why do you tremble so violently? Would you like a drink of water?
No, Mrs. Reed.
Is there anything else you wish for, Jane? I desire to be your friend.
You do not. You told Mr. Brocklehurst I had a bad character. I'll tell everybody what you are.
Jane, you do not understand about these things. Children must be corrected for their faults.
Deceit is not my fault.
Oh, but you are passionate, Jane. That you must allow. Oh, return to your room, Jane, there's a dear, and lie down a little.
I am not your dear. Send me to school, Mrs. Reed, for I hate to live here.
Fred'll take you to where the coach stops and wait with you. I wish I could come, but Mrs. won't let me.
What did you expect?
You would not even bid her goodbye.
No.
That was wrong, Miss Jane.
I was quite right, Bessie.
Oh, you sharp little thing. You've got a new way of talking. What makes you so venturesome?
I shall be away from you soon.
Oh, so you're glad to leave me? You're not afraid of me, are you?
I don't think I shall ever be afraid of you again, because I've got used to you, and I will soon have another set of people to dread.
If you dread them, they'll dislike you.
As you do, Bessie?
I don't dislike you, miss. In fact, I'm fonder of you than all the others. I dare say if I were to ask you for a kiss, you wouldn't give it me.
I'll kiss you and welcome. Bend your head down.
Oh. Off you go now.
Goodbye, dear Bessie. And goodbye, Gateshead.
This way, girl.
To love, honor, and succor my father and mother.
Make haste, make haste.
To honor and obey the king and all that are appointed under him.
You just wait here, my lass.
To honor and obey the king and all that are put in authority under him.
This child is very young to be sent alone. She had better be put to bed at once. She looks tired. Are you tired?
A little, Mum.
And hungry too, no doubt. Miss Miller, let her have some supper before she goes to bed.
Very well, Miss Temple.
Now, Jane Eyre, is this the first time you have left your parents to come to school?
I have no parents, Mum.
How long have they been dead?
Since I was a baby, Mum.
I hope you will be a good child. Go with Miss Miller now.
Yes, Mum.
That is the bedtime bell. We have no time for idleness here. You will learn to live by the bell.
Yes, miss.
You have 5 minutes to wash before prayers.
Sophie.
Penelope. Heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate.
Is your book interesting? I like it. What's it about?
Emily.
There are no pictures. I like wild, mysterious stories with pictures. Do you want me to go away? I did want someone to talk to. Mary. Why do they call this an institution? Is it different from other schools?
It's partly a charity school. You and I, charity children.
Have you been here long?
2 years.
Are you an orphan?
My mother is dead. My father married again.
Are you happy here?
You ask rather too many questions. I want to read.
Burns, you are slouching. Sit up straight immediately. He was deeply religious and much influenced by favourites. He made promises to the people which he failed to keep, and was the author of his own downfall.
Oh, that is nicely done, Jane.
Thank you, Miss Smith.
What year did Charles I come to the throne? Fuller. Harrison.
1610?
Wrong. Burns.
1625, miss.
Someone must have prompted you.
No, miss.
I refuse to believe a word you say. And I insist on you holding your head up. I will not have you standing before me in that attitude.
Pay attention, girls.
His first favourite was the dashing George Villiers, Duke of Buckingham. He was assassinated in 1628. Charles then fell under the influence of his wife. He was a Catholic. We all know how evil popery is. That turned the people even more against Charles. Many of them were known as Puritans. Burns, why were they called Puritans?
Good. Because they wished to purify the church by dropping out many Catholic practices.
You are glib enough, but you still defy me by letting your head droop. Pull out your hand.
The children run to Lisbeth's return, or climb his knees, the envied kiss to
You
share.
dirty, disagreeable girl. You did not clean your nails this morning.
Yes, miss, I did.
You contradict me. You dare to contradict me and lie to me. Did I not say you were a liar? Fetch me the instrument of correction.
Let not ambition mock their useful toil, their homely joys and destiny obscure, nor grandeur hear with a disdainful smile
Your hand.
the short and simple annals of the poor.
You dropped my thread. The host of Hercules, the pomp and power, and all that beauty, all that wealth are they.
Hardened girl. Nothing will correct you. Take the rod back.
Jane, you have dropped my skein. Jane, what is the matter with you?
No unique crowds impute to these the fault. If memory o'er the tomb no trophies raise.
If she struck me with that rod, I should get it from her hand and break it under her nose.
Probably you would do nothing of the sort. If you did, Mr. Brocklehurst would expel you. It is far better to endure patiently. The Bible bids us return good for evil.
If people were always kind and obedient to those who are cruel and unjust, the wicked would have it all their own way. They would never feel afraid, but go worse and worse. When we are struck at, without reason, we should strike back, very hard. I'm sure I should. So hard as to teach the person never to do it again.
Christ says, love your enemies.
And I should love Mrs. Reed and her son John, which I can never do.
Who are they?
Oh dear, sleeping study. I'll tell you on the way down.
My first quarter at Lowood seemed an age of cold, hunger, hardship and heavy tasks. But at its end, I had made progress.
This is excellent, Jane. No wonder you're ahead of your class. All your teachers praise you. Do you find the girls friendly?
They are now, Mum.
Good. I like your pictures. I shall give you drawing lessons myself.
Oh, thank you, Mum.
And I think you're capable of learning French. I shall speak to Madame Pirot. You may go.
Thank you, Mum.
But there was one visitor to Lowood, of whose arrival I was in constant dread.
It is the new pupil. I have a word to say respecting her. Fetch that stool. Girl. Stand upon it. Face the classes. Miss Temple. Teachers. Girls. You all see this girl? You see she is yet young? Who would think that the evil one had already found a servant in her? And yet such, I grieve to say, is the case. You must be on your guard against her. You must shun her example, avoid her company, and exclude her from your sports. Teachers, you must watch her. Punish her body to save her soul, if indeed such salvation be possible. For my tongue falters while I tell it. This girl, this child of a Christian land, this girl is a liar.
How shocking!
This I learned from her benefactress, the lady who adopted her in her orphan state, reared her as her own daughter, and whose kindness this unhappy girl repaid with an ingratitude so bad, so dreadful, that at last her excellent patroness was obliged to separate her from her own young ones, fearful lest her vicious example should contaminate their purity. She has sent her here to be healed. Teachers, I beg of you not to spare her if she is to be saved. Miss Temple, we will now inspect the rest of the premises. Be seated. Let her stand a half hour longer on that stool. Face the classes, and let no one speak to her for the remainder of the day.
Come, eat something. I have tried so hard to do well. Helen, why do you keep friendly with a girl whom everybody believes a liar?
Jane, you are mistaken.
After what Mr. Brocklehurst said.
He is little liked here. Besides, Jane, if all the world hated you, you would not be without friends.
Are we all assembled?
All present, Miss Temple.
I have an announcement to make. It concerns the charges which were alleged in your presence against Jane Eyre 1 week ago. Jane Eyre, come forward. Up here. Stand beside me. Teachers, girls, I have made inquiries concerning these charges of a person who is fully informed and utterly reliable, and I am most happy to be able to pronounce her innocent of every imputation made against her. You may step down, Jane.
I'm so glad, my dear. I'm not at all surprised, Jane.
Bravo, mademoiselle. Je suis contente pour vous. You are fortunate in your protector, child.
Let the classes resume.
Well, Jane, I know that you will work harder than ever to prove your merit.
I will, Miss Temple. I would not leave Lowood now for Gateshead and all its luxuries, Mum.
typhus. Overcrowding, lack of sanitation, semi-starvation, and previously neglected illnesses had made most of the pupils an easy prey to the deadly fever. Teachers helped those girls to pack who had friends or relatives able and willing to take them away from the seat of contagion. Many went home only to die.
Mr. Bates, please.
What is it, girl? I have other patients, you know.
Where is Helen Burns? She has not come down to the garden yet.
Helen Burns? No. I fear she took a turn for the worse. She is very poorly. Her complaint is not typhus, you know. It is consumption. You are a God-fearing child. You have seen other friends go to their Maker. Helen is not with us for long.
When the typhus fever died away at Lowood, a new management committee was formed as a result of public indignation at the abuses which had caused the epidemic and condemned its many victims. Mr. Brocklehurst managed to retain his post because of his wealth and family connections. But Lowood became in time a truly useful and noble institution. I was a pupil there for 6 more years, and as for the 2 years which followed...
Miss Eyre, please, Miss Eyre.
Very well, Mary.
B-O-U-G-H, bough of a tree, B-O-W, bough.
Very good. I'm very pleased with all of you girls. Now, I would like you to learn the next 10 words in your book for tomorrow.
Thank you.
And you may start now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I was a teacher and loved it. But since Helen's death, my one, my only, my dear friend remained Miss Temple. And a day came that was inevitable.
God bless the bride and groom! God bless the bride and groom! God bless the Write to me, Miss Temple. Please write to me.
I will. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye, Miss Temple.
With Miss Temple's departure, I tired of the routine of 8 years in one afternoon. I longed for change, for liberty, or at the very least a new servitude. What do people do to get a new place? Apply to friends? I have no friends. Or advertise. A young lady accustomed to tuition is desirous of meeting with a situation where the children are under 14.
Welcome to Cornfield, Mum.
Thank you.
Please come in. John will take your box up to your room.
Will you walk this way, ma'am? Miss Eyre, ma'am.
How do you do, my dear?
How do you do, Mom? Mrs. Fairfax, I think.
Yes, you are right. I'm afraid you've had a tedious ride from Milkwood. John drives slowly. And were you long in the coach before that?
The coach left Luton at 4 o'clock this morning. I had to rise before 3 o'clock.
Oh, you must be tired. Come and sit down.
Is this not your chair?
No, I shall be comfortable enough here. And your hands look numb with cold. Leah, are the refreshments ready?
Yes, Mum.
And make some hot negus as well.
The water's boiling, Mum.
I was glad to arrive before nightfall, hoping to see my young pupil, Miss Fairfax.
Miss Fairfax? Oh, you mean Miss Varens. Varens is the name of your future pupil.
Varens?
Yes. Oh, yes, thank you, Leah. Now, sip that negus and warm yourself.
Indeed, then, she is not your daughter?
No, I have no family. But I am so pleased you are come. It will be quite pleasant having someone with whom to talk. Thornfield is a fine old hall, but in the quiet season, you know, one feels dreary. Quite alone. Well, I say quite alone. Leah, my maid, is a nice enough girl, to be sure. And John and his wife, well, are very decent people, but then, you see, they are only servants. Well, eat that food, Miss Eyre. Don't stand on ceremony. You may eat and listen to me prattling. I have had the room next to mine prepared for you. It is only a small apartment, but I thought you would like it better than one of the large front chambers. To be sure, the front chambers have finer furniture, but they are so large and solitary, I never sleep in there myself. Here we are.
Oh, it is beautiful. Thank you, Mrs. Fairfax. And thank you for your kindness.
Kindness? Oh, rubbish. Now I have someone with whom I can talk. But I won't come in and keep you from your bed with my chatter. Good night, my dear.
Good night, Mrs. Fairfax.
Good morning, my dear. I see you are an early riser.
It's all so beautiful. Every moment is precious.
Come in, my dear. I have some tea in my room. The tea is just right. How did you like Thornfield?
Oh, I like it very much.
Yes, it is a pretty place. But I fear it will be getting out of order if Mr. Rochester doesn't take it into his head to come and reside here permanently.
Mr. Rochester? Who is he?
Well, the owner of Thornfield. Did you not know his name was Rochester?
I thought Thornfield belonged to you.
To me? Oh, bless you, child. Oh, what an idea. No, I am only the housekeeper, the manager. To be sure, I am distantly related to the Rochesters, or rather my husband was. He was a clergyman, you know, incumbent of Hay, the little village beyond the hill. The present Mr. Rochester's mother was a Fairfax, and second cousin to my husband. But I never presume on the connection. My employer is always civil, and I expect nothing more.
And the little girl, my pupil?
Oh, she is Mr. Rochester's ward, and he asked me to engage a governess for her. I hear her. Come, let me introduce you. And after your schoolwork is finished, I shall show you round the house.
Sophie!
Adèle, passez vite! Attends!
Ah, la voilà!
Good morning, Miss Adèle. Come and meet the lady who is to teach you and turn you into a clever woman one day.
Bonjour, Madame Fairfax. Enchantée, mademoiselle.
Alors, tu es française? I did not imagine I had a foreign pupil.
Miss Adèle was born on the continent, I believe, and has been in England only 6 months. She speaks English quite well, but is rather unwilling to do so. I can get little out of her. This is Sophie, her bonne, as she calls her nurse.
Mademoiselle, nous aurons bien des choses à faire ensemble, Sophie.
Oh oui, bien sûr.
Ah, elle parle parfaitement français.
Yes, my dear, I had a very good teacher.
And I practiced every day for many years. Do you understand me?
Yes, mademoiselle.
Excellent. And since you are to speak English like an English lady, from now on we will speak only English.
I will try, mademoiselle, mais quelquefois...
Try. You will succeed.
What is your name?
Jane Eyre.
Eyre.
I wish you could ask her some questions about her parents. You will learn more than I could.
Adele, you live in Paris?
Mais oui, mademoiselle. Yes, mademoiselle.
With whom did you live?
I lived long ago with Mama, but she's gone to the Holy Virgin.
Oh, poor little lamb.
And after that?
We live with some poor people, but Mr. Rochester ever knew. He came. He asked if I would like to live with him in England, for I knew him when my Mama was alive, and he gave me the belle robe d'échouée.
Pretty dresses and toys.
But now he has left me all alone, and he's not here.
He has had to go abroad again.
I can sing and dance and speak many poems. Shall I dance? Et vous verrez.
Not now, dear. We have a lovely schoolroom ready for you, with a pianoforte and globes and all that you will need. Shall I show it to you?
Please do, Mrs. Fairfax.
Sophie, you will have much to do during lesson time.
Madame?
Sophie, vous aurez des choses à faire pendant nos leçons?
Oh, oui, mademoiselle.
Come along, then.
Come, my dear.
I wish to play in the garden first.
Afterwards. In England, little girls do as they are told. Come along, I want to hear you sing.
Très bien.
Come in, my dear. Your morning school hours are over now?
Yes. The schoolroom is admirable. You keep everything in such good order.
Why, Miss Eyre, although Mr. Rochester's visits here are rare, they are always sudden and unexpected. So I keep his house in instant readiness.
Is Mr. Rochester such an exacting, fastidious man?
Well, he has a gentleman's tastes and habits. He expects to find his house managed in accordance with them.
Do you like him? Is he generally liked?
Oh, yes. The Rochesters have owned most of the land here, time out of mind, and the family have always been respected.
But do you like him?
Well, I have no cause but to like him. And so do his tenants, to whom he is generous, although he's hardly ever among them.
But has he no peculiarities? I mean, what is his character?
He is a very good master.
Is that all you know of him?
Well, his character is unimpeachable, I suppose. I dare say he is peculiar. He travels a great deal and has seen a great deal of the world, I should think. I dare say he is clever, but I have never had much conversation with him.
In what way is he peculiar?
I don't know. It is not easy to describe. You feel it when he speaks to you. You cannot really be sure whether he is in jest or earnest, whether he is pleased or the contrary. You do not thoroughly understand him, or at least I do not. But he is a very good master. Now, I promised to show you round the house, didn't I?
Thank you. I did not imagine you had such grand apartments. I dared not hope to see anything like it in my life.
It is only the dining room and the drawing room. I open the curtains every day to air the rooms.
And every bedroom ready for use?
Oh, the master will not catch me napping. Well, now you have seen the whole house.
I have not seen the upper floor yet.
Oh, there is nothing to see.
Well, you told me there was a wonderful view from the leads.
You wish to go up on the roof? Oh, well, very well.
The view indeed was splendid. But I saw that Mrs. Fairfax, for some reason, was uneasy lest I should prolong my enjoyment of it.
Thank you for taking so much trouble. I would not have missed such a pleasing prospect.
This is a grand country.
Do the servants sleep in these rooms?
Oh, no, the servants sleep at the back. No one sleeps here.
Oh, surely you have a ghost.
Ghost? Oh, not that I know of.
Mrs. Fairfax, did you hear that laugh? Who is it?
One of the servants, most likely. Or perhaps Grace Poole. She sews up here, and sometimes Lear is with her, and they are noisy. Grace? Grace? Too much noise, Grace. Remember directions. She does the sewing and helps with the housework. She's a little too fond of porter, but she works well enough. Let us go down. It is too disagreeable here. We do not want our dinner cold, do we?
I could sit and dream on those leads for hours.
I should not go up there again if I were you. The wind, it can come in terrible gusts. It is dangerous.
Anyone may blame me who likes, but often in the next few months, when I was free, I climbed to the roof where I could look out to the far skyline and longed to reach past it to the busy world beyond. I had the promise of a smooth career. My pupil had been spoilt and indulged, but soon became obedient and teachable. Yet in spite of my blessings, I was restless at my tranquility. I could not help it. The restlessness was in my nature. There must be millions like me, I thought, who must have action. Women especially, who wish for more than their narrow lot.
What is the matter, Mrs. Poole? Are you not well?
This'll cure it, miss.
Miss Jane, you're not going out.
I'm going to the village to post a letter for Mrs. Fairfax.
But it's 2 miles over the hill, and 'tis bitter cold up there most times, and 'twill get dark terrible soon.
I shall enjoy the walk, and I like the dark.
Are you hurt, sir? Can I help you?
Stand aside.
I can fetch help, sir.
I've no broken bones. It's only a sprain.
I shall stay with you until I can see you can mount your horse.
You should be at home. Where do you come from?
Thornfield Hall. I've been to post a letter.
Thornfield?
I'm a governess there.
Ah, yes. The governess. Come here. Excuse me. Necessity compels me to make you useful. Stand aside. Thank you.
Eyre!
Miss Jane, there you are. The master is here. He has had a fall. His ankle is sprained. I have just taken Mr. Carter, the surgeon, to him. He cannot even get up.
Of course he can.
You should not be standing up, sir.
Dr. Carter, I have the aid of your good self.
You are Mr. Rochester.
An intelligent deduction, Miss Eyre. Miss Eyre? Miss Eyre? I should be glad if you would take tea with me tomorrow, 6 p.m. Good night, Miss Eyre.
Yes, sir. Good night, sir.
You like Pilot?
Oui, monsieur.
Come in.
Good evening, sir. Here is Miss Eyre.
Well, let Miss Eyre be seated.
Tea is ready, sir, as you ordered. Adele, Miss Eyre, please come to the table. Oh, I am so sorry you had so much estate business, sir. I do wonder at your patience and perseverance in going on with it.
Madam, I should like some tea.
Oh, yes, of course, sir. Will you pass Mr. Rochester's cup? Adele might perhaps spill it.
Monsieur, have you a cadeau? A present from Miss Eyre in your boxes?
You expect a present, Miss Eyre? Are you fond of presents?
I hardly know, sir. I have little experience of them. They are generally thought pleasant things.
Generally thought. And what do you think?
I am a stranger, sir. I have done nothing to entitle me to one.
Now, don't fall back on over-modesty. I've examined Adele and find you've taken great pains with her. She's not bright, she has no talents. Yet in a short while she's made much improvement.
Sir, you have given me my cadeau. Praise in my pupil's progress.
Miss Eyre, come sit here by me. You've been resident in my house 3 months.
Yes, sir.
And you come from a charitable institution. How long were you there?
8 years, sir.
8 years? You must be tenacious of life. No wonder you've rather the look of another world. When you came upon me in Hay Lane last night, I thought unaccountably of fairy tales. Who are your parents?
I have none, sir.
Nor ever had, I suppose. Do you remember them?
No, sir.
I thought not. So, you were out waiting for your people in that lane.
For whom, sir?
For the men in green.
The men in green all forsook England 100 years ago. The moon will never shine on their revels more.
Who recommended you to come here?
I advertised, and Mrs. Fairfax answered my advertisement.
Yes, and I am daily thankful of my choice.
Don't trouble yourself to give her a character. I shall judge for myself. She began by felling my horse.
Sir?
She bewitched my horse. Miss Eyre, you seen much society?
None. Outside Lowood, now this house, sir.
You read much?
Only such books as came in my way.
You've lived the life of a nun. No doubt you're well drilled in religious forms. Brocklehurst, do I understand, directs Lowood is a parson, is he not?
Yes, sir.
And you girls probably worshipped him. As a convent full of novices would worship their father.
No, sir.
They're very cool. No. What, a convent full of novices not worship their priest?
I disliked Mr. Brocklehurst. He was a harsh man, at once pompous and meddling.
What age were you when you went to Lowood?
About 10, sir.
You're now then 18.
Yes, sir.
Arithmetic, you see, is useful. Without it, I should hardly have been able to guess your age. What do you learn at Lowood? Can you play?
Little.
That is the established answer. Go into the library. I mean, if you please, Miss Eyre. Excuse my tone of command. I'm used to say do this and it is done. I cannot alter my customary habits for one new inmate. Go then into the library. Take a candle with you, sit down at the piano, and play a tune.
Very well, sir.
Enough! You play a little, I see. Like any other English schoolgirl. Perhaps rather better than some, but not well. Adele showed me some sketches this morning, which she said were yours. They're on the table. Bring them. Are they entirely of your doing? Probably a master aided you.
Certainly not, sir.
Ah. Hurts pride. Now, there are 3 in particular. Where'd you get your copies?
Out of my head, sir.
That same head I now see on your shoulders?
Yes, sir.
Does it have any furniture of the same kind within?
I should think it may have. I hope better.
Were you happy when you painted these?
Painting those pictures was one of the keenest pleasures I've ever known.
Well, that's not saying much. Your pleasures, by your own account, have been few. You have not enough of the artist's skill and science. Yet the drawings are, for a schoolgirl, peculiar. There. Put them away. It's 9 o'clock. What are you about, Miss Eyre, to keep Adele up so long? Take her to bed.
Bonne nuit, monsieur.
I wish you all good night now.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Yeah.
I trust you enjoyed your ride, sir.
I trust you've enjoyed your day, Miss Eyre.
I have indeed, sir. I am so glad your leg is quite recovered.
Oh, 2 days are enough to put that right.
All the same, you should not take risks.
Otherwise you'll bewitch my horse again. Well, excuse me, Miss Eyre, I must change my clothes.
There's not much wrong with him anymore. Been out visiting, I suppose.
I imagine he has to call on all the neighbouring gentry.
Especially where certain young ladies are concerned. Have you heard talk of the Honourable Miss Blanche Ingram?
No.
Well, you will, miss.
Morning, Mr. Rochester.
Here's your present. Amuse yourself with disemboweling it. Is that Miss Eyre?
You wish to see me, sir?
Come forward, Miss Eyre. Be seated. Don't draw the chair further off, Miss Eyre. Sit down exactly where I placed it. If you please, that is. Confound these civilities, I'm always forgetting them.
Oh, ciel, que c'est beau!
Come, child. The master wishes to speak to Miss Eyre.
You examine me, Miss Eyre. Do you find me handsome?
No, sir.
By my word, there is something singular about you. You have the air of a little nun. Quaint, quiet, grave, and simple, with your arms before you and your eyes generally bent on the carpet. Except, by the by, when they're directed piercingly to my face. As just now. And when one asks you a question, you rap out a brusque rejoinder. What do you mean by it?
Sir, I beg your pardon. I was too plain.
You are no such thing. Go on. What faults do you find with me, pray? I suppose of all my limbs and all my features, like any other man?
Mr. Rochester, I intended no repartee. It was a blunder.
Just so. And you shall be answerable for it. Now, ma'am. Am I a fool?
Far from it, sir. You might perhaps think me rude if I inquired in return whether you are a philanthropist.
No, young lady, I am not in general a philanthropist. But I bear a conscience. When I was as old as you, I was a feeling fellow enough, partial to the unfledged, unfostered, and unlucky. But fortune has knocked me about since. And now I flatter myself that I'm as hard and tough as an India rubber ball. Pervious, though. Through a chink or two still. Does that leave hope for me?
Hope for what, sir?
Oh, you look very much puzzled, Miss Eyre. I know you're no more pretty than I am handsome. As a puzzled air becomes you. Besides, it's very convenient. It keeps those searching eyes off my physiognomy. So, puzzle on. Young lady, I am disposed to be gregarious and communicative tonight. That's why I sent for you. The fire and the chandelier were not sufficient company for me. I can't talk to an old lady or a young child, no pilot, but you. You puzzled me the first evening I invited you down here. But pleased me now to draw you out, to learn more of you. Therefore speak.
About what, sir?
Oh, whatever you like. You're dumb, Miss Eyre? Stubborn? And annoyed, hmm? Ah, I put my request in an absurd, almost insolent form. Miss Eyre, I beg your pardon. The fact is, once and for all, I do not wish to treat you like an inferior. I speak merely with 20 years more of age and a century more of experience. Now have the goodness to talk to me a little. Divert my thoughts, which are galled with dwelling on one point.
I am willing to amuse you if I can, sir. But how do I know what will interest you? Ask me questions and I will do my best to answer them.
Well, firstly, then, do you agree that I have the right to be a little masterful? Abrupt, exacting at times? On the grounds that I'm old enough to be your father and have roamed over half the globe, whilst you have lived quietly with one set of people in one house.
Do as you please, sir.
Well, that's no answer. It's irritating and evasive. Reply clearly.
I do not think, sir, you have the right to command me because you are older than I, or because you have seen more of the world than I have. Your claim to superiority depends upon the use you have made of your time and experience.
Promptly spoken. But I won't allow that. It would never suit my case. I have made a very bad use of both advantages. Well, leaving superiority out of the question, then. You must still agree to receive my orders now and then without being piqued by the tone of command. Why do you smile?
I was thinking, sir, that very few masters would trouble themselves to inquire so of their paid subordinates.
Paid subordinate? Oh, yes, I'd forgotten the salary. Well, then, on that mercenary ground, will you agree to let me hector you a little?
No, sir, not on that ground, but on the grounds that you did forget it, and that you care whether or not a dependent is comfortable in his dependency.
And will you agree to dispense with a great many conventional forms and phrases without thinking me insolent?
I hope, sir, I know the difference between informality and insolence. The one I rather like, the other nothing freeborn would submit to even for a salary.
Humbug. Most things freeborn will submit to anything for a salary. However, I mentally shake hands with you for that answer, despite its inaccuracy. Not one in 3,000 raw schoolgirl governesses would have answered me as you have just done. However, I don't mean to flatter you. For all I know, you may have intolerable faults to counterbalance your few good points. Oh. Yes, you're right. I've plenty of faults of my own. I was thrust onto a wrong tack at the age of 21, and I've never recovered the right course since. I might have been different. I might have been as good as you. Wiser. Almost as stainless. I envy you your peace of mind, your clean conscience, your unpolluted memory.
How was your memory when you were 18, sir?
Oh, I was your equal, Miss Eyre. Quite your equal. Nature meant me to be, on the whole, a good man, Miss Eyre. But you see, I am not. I am a trite, commonplace sinner, hackneyed in all the petty dissipations of the rich and worthless. I wish I'd stood firm. God knows I do. Dread remorse when you are tempted to err, Miss Eyre. Remorse is the poison of life.
Repentance is said to be its cure, sir.
It is not its cure. Reformation, maybe. I could reform, but what's the use? Hampered, burdened, cursed as I am. Besides, I have a right to get pleasure out of life, and I will get it, cost what it may.
Then you will degenerate still further, sir.
Why should I? If I can get sweet, fresh pleasure, and I may get it. As sweet and fresh as the wild honey the bee gathers on the moor. See, you're like a little bird trapped in a cage, vivid, resolute, restless, but a captive. Were it but free, I would soar cloud high.
To speak truth, sir, I do not understand you.
Well, at this moment, Miss Eyre, I am paving hell with energy.
Sir?
I'm laying down good intentions, which I believe as durable as flint. Are you afraid of me because I talk like a sphinx?
Your language is enigmatical, sir. Though I am bewildered, I am certainly not afraid.
Voici, mademoiselle.
Where are you going?
To put Adele to bed. It is past her time. She's beautiful, is she not?
A miniature of her mother. The little seductress.
Sir?
Never mind, I shall explain someday. Good night, Miss Eyre.
Good night, sir. Keep still, Adele. Keep still.
Que se passe-t-il, mademoiselle? Je commence à avoir froid.
Let me rest for a moment, Adele.
I promised you an explanation, Miss Eyre. Your pupil, Adele, is the daughter of a French opera dancer, Céline Varron, for whom I once cherished a grande passion. No reproof, Miss Eyre? No moral homily?
No, sir.
I like this day. I like this sky of steel. I like Thornfield. My home as it could be. Yet how long have I abhorred the very thought of it? Shunned it like a plague house. Feared it.
Feared it, sir.
I was speaking of Céline Varron. I called one evening when she didn't expect me and found her with another man.
Mademoiselle.
Thank you, Adele.
Pour vous.
Go and read your book, child. He was a cavalry officer. A brainless and vicious youth. A woman that could betray me with such a rival was not worth contending for. I paid her off. You never felt jealousy, did you, Miss Eyre? No. Of course not. You never felt love.
I'm so ignorant of the world. Perhaps I should have guessed at something of the sort.
Now you know she is the illegitimate offspring of a French opera girl, you will perhaps think differently of your post and your protégé. You'll be coming to me with notice you intend to leave, that you've found another position, that you beg me to look out for a new governess,
No, sir. Adele is not answerable for either her mother's faults or yours. I have a regard for her. Now that I know she is in a sense parentless, forsaken by her mother and disowned by you, sir, I will cling even closer to her than before.
Sir? Mr. Barrow, the agent's here, sir. He said you wish to see him at once.
Yes, I do. Put him in the library. Thank you, Miss Eyre.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Mr. Rochester, wake up!
Put out! Use the blanket. This is not more of your witchery, you sorceress.
I heard someone creeping in the corridor. I heard a terrible laugh. Whoever it was set fire to your room and then fled through the door to the upper staircase. Shall I fetch Mrs. Fairfax?
What the deuce for? What can she do before morning? Let her sleep.
Here and John.
You will wake no one. Here. Here, put this around you. Sit there. You'll stay where you are till I return. Don't move. And don't call anyone. It is as I thought.
How, sir?
You say you saw someone in the corridor,
No, only a candle on the floor.
but you heard an odd laugh. You've heard that laugh before, I should think, or something like it.
There is a woman who sews here, Grace Poole. She laughs in that way. She's a singular person, sir.
You've guessed it. Grace Poole, she is, as you say, singular. Very. I shall reflect upon the matter.
Right, sir.
Miss Eyre, you are the only person beside myself who knows the details of tonight's incident. You're no talking fool. You will say nothing. I will account for this state of affairs. Now, go to your own room.
You cannot sleep here, sir.
I shall do very well on the library sofa. Must be nearly 4. In 2 hours the servants will be up.
Good night, then, sir.
What? You're quitting me already? And in that way?
You said I might go, sir.
At least shake hands. You've saved my life. I have a pleasure in owing you so immense a debt.
There is no debt or obligation in the case.
Oh, I knew you would do me good in some way. At some time, I saw it in your eyes the first time I beheld you. That expression and smile did not. Did not strike delight to my very inmost heart so for nothing. Oh, my cherished preserver. Good night.
Right, sir. Glad I happened to be awake.
Once you will go.
I'm cold, sir.
Cold. Yes. Go then, Jane, go.
I think I hear Mrs. Fairfax move.
Well, Jane, leave me.
Right, sir.
What a to-do! What a to-do!
Good morning, Mrs. Fairfax.
Oh, a good morning, do you call it? Have you seen the master's room? He might have been burnt to a cinder in his bed. And all for being careless with a candle. Ah, well, we shall have it to rights within the day. But there are so many things to be moved. I have Leah and John in there. I must call the rest of the servants. Jane, dear, take those and put them on the master's bed. Oh, I am so grateful he is gone.
Gone? For good?
Oh, dear me, no. No, he has only gone to a house party. He will be back. But I must get on. Oh, Jane, keep an eye on Leah and John. You know how they love to waste time gossiping.
It's lucky he had his water jug full. I wonder he did it himself and wake nobody.
Why, Miss Jane, what do you make of all this?
I was looking for Mr. Rochester. Has he been in?
No, miss, but his horse is to be saddled and he's riding over to the Lees.
Oh, thank you, John. Do you know, is he expected to return soon?
I'm afraid not, miss.
Good morning, miss.
Good morning, Grace. 'Tis a strange affair, is it not? I've been told what happened. Did Mr. Rochester wake no one? Did no one hear him move?
Well, the servants sleep too far off to hear, miss. And Mrs. Fairfax heard nothing. Elderly people often sleep heavy. But you sleep nearby, miss. And I should say that being young, you're a light sleeper. Did you not hear a noise?
I did. At first I thought it was Pilot. But Pilot cannot laugh. And I'm certain I heard a laugh. A very strange one.
Well, it's hardly likely Master would laugh when he was in such danger. I should think, miss, you must have been dreaming.
I was not dreaming.
You did not think of opening your door and going out into the gallery?
Certainly not. I bolted my door. I have not done so before, but I shall in future.
It will be a wise thing to do. I've never heard of the hall being attempted by robbers, but there are hundreds of pounds worth of plate, and there are very few servants. I always think it best to err on the safe side. A deal of people, miss, are for trusting all to Providence. But I say Providence blesses those that help themselves.
Mr. Rochester! Mr. Rochester!
What is it?
Miss Porter, she's in your bedroom as bold as brass.
Well?
Well, why is she not in custody, or at least dismissed? It was good as said she was guilty last night, sir. Why did you bind me to secrecy?
Is that all?
Has she some hold over you, sir?
Miss Eyre, kindly confine your concerns to matters which are within your province.
"10 days, and not a word
word from Mr. Rochester. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go straight back to the continent and doesn't show his face in Thornfield for another year or more.
But would he not let you know?
No. He has often left us suddenly and without warning. Oh, the tray is not yet ready for you, Leah.
No, Mum, but here's a letter just come.
Oh. It is from the master. Well. Well, we are going to be busy now.
He is returning?
Indeed he is. And within 3 days, he is bringing a party of friends with him. And the Honourable Blanche Ingram.
Good morning, Mum.
Welcome to Thornfield. Welcome home, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Fairfax. I've enjoyed the company of my own equal on horseback in the county. We've outpaced the friends by 5 minutes.
I always adore this house.
Mrs. Grace was an adorable guest.
Rogers, who is that lady?
That's the Honourable Miss Blanche Ingram, miss.
Thank you.
Let me show you to your room. Mrs. Fairfax will attend upon you till your servant arrives.
Mais qu'elle est belle!
She is very beautiful.
The carriages are ready, sir.
Thank you, sir. En avant, mes amis!
They have a fine day for their excursion. And do not Mr. Rochester and Miss Blanche make a fine couple?
He evidently prefers her to any of the other ladies.
Oh, it is clear he admires her.
Yes, it is.
But you see, my dear, the gentry have more to consider than themselves. Marriage is a duty. It involves fortunes, family trees, the bringing together of estates. And there must come a time when any gentleman has to consider his duty.
She is indeed beautiful.
Oh, you will see her at her best this evening. I happened to mention to Mr. Rochester how much Adele wished to be introduced to the ladies. And he said, let her come into the drawing room after dinner.
Oh, she will be in ecstasies.
And he said, let Miss Eyre accompany her.
Oh, no, he was only speaking out of politeness.
I told him you were shy. And he said, tell her, it is my wish. If she resists, I shall come and fetch her.
To speak truth, I did not greatly care for Mr. Rochester's guests. Most of them, Miss Ingram especially, seemed to me to be shallow, haughty, and contemptuous towards those not of their own station.
Of course, you have a governess for her. Where is she now? Is she gone? Oh, no, there she is still. You should hear Mamma about the subject of governesses. I had a half a dozen at least, all either detestable or ridiculous.
I used to quiz my governess, but she was such a good creature. I might ransack her desk or upset her workbox. She would bear anything.
I suppose we shall now have an abstract of the memoirs of all the governesses of all our families. May I play you something instead?
Oh, please do.
How'd you do?
I'm very well, sir.
Why didn't you come and speak to me in the room?
I did not wish to disturb you as you seemed engaged, sir.
Well, what have you been doing during my absence?
Nothing particular. Teaching Adele as usual.
You're looking a good deal paler than you were. What's the matter?
Nothing is the matter, sir.
Did you catch cold? That night you half drowned me?
Not the least, sir.
Return to the drawing room. You're deserting too early.
I am tired, sir.
And a little depressed. What about? Tell me.
I'm not depressed.
But I have found that you are. So much depressed that a few more words would bring tears to your eyes. If I had time, I'd know what all this means. No. Tonight I excuse you, but remember, so long as my visitors stay, I shall expect you in the drawing room every evening. It is my wish. Don't neglect it. Now go. Send Sophie for Adele. Good night.
One evening, a change of entertainment was proposed. They spoke of playing charades, but in my ignorance, I did not understand the term.
Don't forget. Oh, it's a wedding.
Why, it's a marriage. What a
wonderful
magnificent couple they make.
Don't be like that.
Oh, he looks like Jane. Is this the whole?
Yes, I think so.
No, it can't be. Whatever can it be?
Was not the second syllable well? And does not that make the entire word Bridewell, the London Colonel? Bravo! Ah, well done. I got it. I got it. That's a very good one. That's right. Very good. Excellent. I did enjoy it. My dear, calm down. Let me hand you down. Thank you. You were so good. Remember how bright we were?
George!
Amy, that is quite exciting.
And remember, Miss Ingram, you are now my wife. We were married just now in front of all these witnesses.
I saw he was going to marry her for her family, rank, and connections. I was not jealous, or only rarely so. But I suffered an ever-torturing pain, for I knew he did not love her. He told us next day that he had been summoned to Milcott on business and would not be back till late. That same afternoon, a stranger arrived at Thornfield.
It appears I arrive at an inopportune time, madam, when my friend Mr. Rochester is from home. But I arrive from a very long journey, and I think I may presume so far an old and intimate acquaintance as to install myself till he returns. My name is Mason. I am but just arrived in England.
I spent some time on the West Indies station, sir. Do I detect?
You have an acute ear, sir. I am from Kingston, Jamaica.
I know it well.
It was there that I met Mr. Rochester.
I did not know that Mr. Rochester had ever been to the West Indies.
Oh, Rochester has been everywhere. But allow me to introduce you to the company, Mr. Mason. Lady Ingram, permit me to present Mr. Mason formally to you.
Yes, certainly.
Lady Lynn?
Rochester did not like the West Indies. Hurricanes and heat and the appalling rainfall were too much even for his heroic tastes.
Beg pardon, sir. There's an old woman in all being extremely troublesome, refusing to leave. A gypsy, sir.
Well, tell her I'm a magistrate, and she'll have her put in the stocks if she does not take herself off.
No, wait. Sam, did I hear you say she was a gypsy?
Yes, sir. She insists on being brought in before quality to tell fortunes.
Well, we have no plans for entertainment. Let her entertain us.
Surely, Colonel Dent, you would not encourage such a low impostor.
What is she like?
A shocking, ugly, old creature, miss, almost as black as them calls.
Let's have her in. To be sure, why throw away the chance of a little fun?
Show her into the library.
Well, that is what she wants, miss. She says she'll not appear before the vulgar herd.
I think I had better go first.
No, sir. She wants no gentlemen. Ladies only. And only them that's young and single.
By Jove, she has taste.
my best, my dearest, pause, reflect.
What did you say, Blanche?
Well, Blanche?
She poured my palm and told me what such people usually tell.
It is my turn now. I am sure she is something not right. She told me such things. She knows all about it.
If you please, miss, Gypsy says there is another young, single lady in room and you'll not go until she's seen me.
The governess, indeed.
I will go by all means.
I can make nothing of such hand as that is to fine. Nail on the rug. It's in the face. It's about the eyes and the set of the mouth. I wonder with what feelings you came to me tonight. You have no secret hope that whispers to you of a sweet future?
The utmost I hope is to save enough money for a little school someday.
Mean food for the heart. And when you're sitting in that window seat. Oh, yes, I know your habits.
You have been speaking to the servants.
I know one of them. You're sharp, you're quick. Mrs. Poole. Oh, don't be alarmed. She's a safe hand, is Mrs. Poole. She can be trusted. Now, when you're sitting in that window seat, do you think of nothing but your future school? Is there not one of your companions you think about? Is there not one face that you study?
I like to observe all faces.
You're forced to observe your master.
He is not at home.
Does that blot him, as it were, out of existence?
I can scarcely see what Mr. Rochester has to do with my ways.
Ah, amid all this society, have you not seen love in his face?
I did not come here to confess. Is it known that Mr. Rochester is to be married?
Ah, and to the beautiful Miss Ingram.
Shortly.
Appearances would make it seem so.
But, Mother, I did not come here to hear Mr. Rochester's fortune. I came to hear my own.
Ah, your fortune is yet doubtful. Chance has offered you a measure of happiness. It depends on yourself to stretch out your hand and take it up. Whether you will do so is the question. Kneel again on the rug.
Do not keep me long. The fire burns me.
The flame flickers in the eye shines, it's soft and full of feeling. The eye is favourable. The mouth, at times, delights in laughter. The brow's the enemy. That brow says I can live alone if self-respect requires it. I needn't sell my soul to buy bliss. That forehead declares reason, sits firm and holds the reins. It will not let her feelings burst away and hurry her to wild chasms. Strong wind, earthquake, shock and fire may pass by. But I will follow the guiding of that still, small voice called conscience. Well said, conscience, your voice shall be respected. Well, Jane, do you know me now? Off, ye lendings! It's well carried out, don't you think?
This was no party game. You have been trying to draw me out.
Oh, Jane, do you forgive me?
I don't know. I shall have to have time to think about it. Mr. Rochester, are you aware there is a stranger waiting to see you? Mr. Mason of the West Indies.
Mason. The West Indies.
Are you ill, sir?
Oh, Jane, I've got a blow, Jane. Where is he?
In there with the others.
No whispering. They're laughing and talking.
He seemed sociable.
Sociable? Jane, if all those people turned their back on me, went away from here, would you go too?
I would stay with any friend. I will stay with you. But why?
Jane, go in there. Step quietly up to Mason. Whisper in his ear. Tell him that Rochester is here and waiting to see him. Show him in, then leave us.
Rochester. I'm sorry to arrive without warning.
I must declare you're looking well, Richard.
Yes, Edward. Time has been kinder to me than I would have imagined.
I wondered I could say the same. Mason, I don't like you going up there tonight. Not on your own. Wait till tomorrow.
I must go up now. I could not sleep otherwise.
Henry, my dear fellow, did you hear that? Where the devil is Rochester?
Don't strangle me. All is right, Julie. All is right.
What the deuce was that noise then?
Yes, one of the servants had a nightmare. That's all. Now I must ask you all to return to your rooms. We must get the house settled. Gentlemen, have the goodness to set the ladies an example. Miss Ingram, I know I can count on you. Ladies, you'll catch your death of cold in this gallery.
I'm sure. Come on. No.
Who is it?
Open the door. You got any smelling salts?
Yes.
Bring them.
man sick at the sight of blood.
I think I shall not. I've never been tried yet.
Wait here.
That was Grace Poole.
Here, Jane.
Mr. Mason!
The sauce.
Is there any danger?
No, man, a mere scratch. Don't be so overcome. Bear up. I'll fetch a surgeon for you myself. We'll be able to remove you by morning, I hope. Jane,
Sir.
I must leave you in this room with this gentleman for an hour, perhaps 2.
Yes, sir.
Take the sponge. And wipe away the blood whenever it begins to flow. If he feels faint, there's a glass of water on that stand. Put it to his lips and use the salts.
Very well.
You will not speak to him on any pretext.
Harry Rochester.
And Richard. It will be at peril of your life if you speak to her. Open your lips, agitate yourself, and I'll not be answerable for the consequences. Remember, not one word must be spoken. Not one word.
Mr. Mason. Try to keep your eyes open. Try.
Can't be on the alert. How is he?
Just breathing, sir.
Just the wound. Bandage him properly.
Is he fit to move, sir?
He's got to be. I'll give you about half an hour to get him downstairs. Look, it's nothing vital. Set to work. How are you, Richard?
She's done for me, I fear.
Ah, not a whit. Courage, man. You've lost a little blood, that's all. Carter, assure him there's no danger.
Oh, I can do that trustfully, sir, but how is this? The flesh near the shoulder here is torn as well as cut. There are teeth marks here.
She bit like a tigress when Rochester got the knife from her.
You shouldn't have yielded. You should have grappled with her.
She looked so quiet at first. I thought I could do some good.
You thought. You've suffered enough. Carter, hurry. I must have him off before sunrise.
I must look to this other wound, sir. She's had her teeth here, too. She sucked the blood.
She said she'd drain my heart.
Oh, come, Richard, be silent, man. Don't repeat her gibberish.
I cannot forget it.
You will when you're out of the country. You may think of her as dead and buried.
Never.
Oh, have some energy, man. You thought you were dead as a herring 2 hours since. You're alive. I'll make you decent in a trice. Doctor, Jane, give me some water. You must allow me the liberty of administering my own medicine. There, drink. Drink.
But will it hurt me?
Drink it, Richard. You'll be able to stand with help in a few minutes. Jane, get down to my room, open the wardrobe, bring me a clean shirt. Get Mason's cloak from his room. Come back and tell me if anybody's about. Be quick. keep him at your house till he's quite well. Take care of him. I'll ride over in a few days and see how he is. How are you feeling now, Richard?
The fresh air revives me. Edward.
What is it?
Let her be taken care of. Let her be treated tenderly.
I do my best. Have done and shall do. It's been a strange night for you, Jane. You look pale. Were you afraid when I left Mason with you?
I was afraid of something in that other room.
I'd locked the door. I'd have been a very careless shepherd if I'd left a lamb. My pet lamb, unguarded, so near a wolf's den.
Will Grace Poole stay here now, sir?
Oh, yes. Don't trouble yourself about her. Put it out of your mind.
Your life is not safe while she stays.
I'll take care of myself.
Is the danger you feared when Mr. Mason came gone by now, sir?
I cannot vouch for that till Mason is out of the country. Not even then. To live, for me, Jane, is to stand on a crater crust that may crack and spew fire any day. Now you look puzzled, and it's cold. Not another word till you've been nourished.
But, sir...
Do as you are told. Brandy and biscuits will do. No servants needed. Now, Jane. You are my little friend, are you not?
I like to serve you, sir, and obey you in all that is right.
Precisely. In all that is right, only that. Well, like Mason, you too now have power over me. You may injure me by speaking. I dare not tell you more.
If you have no more to fear from Mr. Mason than you have from me, sir, you are very safe.
Oh, God grant it may be so. Sit here, I want you by me. Would you hesitate? Would that be wrong, Jane? Now, Jane, I'll put a case to you. Suppose you were no longer a girl well-reared, but a wild boy indulged from childhood. Imagine yourself in a remote foreign land. Conceive that there you commit a capital error, never mind what, but one whose consequences must follow you through life and taint every hour of your existence.
An error?
An error, not a crime. No shedding of blood or any other guilty act. I speak of error. Now, in time, the consequences of what you have done become utterly insupportable. Hope has quitted you. You seek relief in exile, happiness in a heartless, sensual pleasure. After years of wandering, you come home, heart-weary and soul-withered. And then you meet someone. Never mind who or how. And you find the goodness you have sought for 20 years. Such society revives, regenerates. You long to recommence your life in a way more worthy of an immortal being. Are you justified to attain this end in overleaping an obstacle of custom the mere impediment of convention. Is that person justified in daring the world's opinion to attach this gentle, gracious life to his own?
No human can help as God can, sir.
But I have found the being Jane. You've noticed my tender penchant for Miss Blanche Ingram. Do you not think if I married her, she would regenerate me with a vengeance?
Yes, sir.
To you I can talk of my lovely one, for now you have seen her.
Yes, sir.
She is a rare one, is she not, Jane?
Yes, sir.
A strapper. A real strapper.
It seems a fine enough morning.
It will be when the sun is well up.
Leave later.